Okay, I'll give it a shot. I've never recorded anything.
Okay, it says recording it on the top left. So
Okay.
now, if I remember right, when I had to record one of these, it'll say save to desktop or save to computer or something. Then you just click save. After this is over, it'll probably, if depending on how long the video is, it might take like 8 hours for it to upload to YouTube from here. So it'll be up and I'll post it on Twitter when it is.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh, there she is. Yes, unmute. Now Jamie's trying to get in. I thought she's right here.
I'm right here. I
Okay.
muted myself so you guys don't have to listen to me eat my ice.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I was looking, I'm like trying to go back and forth between the screens and I seen that you had sent the other message about waiting to get in, but I'm like way up on the message, so. Okay, Kristen is here with us.
Yep, I got in.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
perfect. Can
You
you
want-
do your video?
Were you gonna turn your video on or did you need to keep it off?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, is it not on? Oh, I don't know.
We want to see your beautiful face.
There we go.
I just assumed you could see me. Clearly, I don't do this. Hey, ladies.
Oh, good. It's all good. We're all learning. This will be fun. We can all laugh at each other.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Well, I think we're all here for the most part. I think the only one that I said she was going to join, but I'm not seeing her in here yet. And I'll just keep watching while we're all talking is Kimmy.
I think it was Michelle. Michelle was trying to get on, and I don't know if she made it on.
Yeah, Michelle's still trying to.
It was easier on my phone than it was on my computer.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's good to know for future too, in case I got to do this on the fly. Okay. All right. I'll keep checking with Michelle and seeing if she's having any problems. So does anybody particular want to start with introducing themselves?
How about we start with Mariana? She's at 1 million, and I know people are going to be dying to ask her questions.
Right. Yeah.
Woo!
All right. Spotlight on Mariana.
All right. So do you want me to share like my story, how I got started? Everything like that?
Anything you want.
Yeah. Anything.
All right, deal. So I'm Mariana. I was born in Colombia and then I moved here to the US and I started trading right after high school. Well, my dad, he wanted me to like find something independent for me to do. And I didn't really know like what really I wanted to do yet. So he had me read like a bunch of finance articles and stuff, but nothing made sense. You know, all of the finance world, like it just kind of like makes no sense. And then like there was like an ad on one of the newsletters and that's where it said like Tim Sykes. So I'm like, wow, well, this is interesting. So then I clicked on it and I started like YouTubing him and stuff and everything just started to, I don't know, I just understood his language a lot better. Plus, you know that his language is a lot like ours and it's not like as polite as you would in one of the newsletters that I was reading. So I started trading then, and then I didn't really like it at first. Honestly, like trading was not like for me. Like I'm a little bit more girlier than just sitting behind a screen, you know? So I was like, wow, well, this makes no sense. So I stopped the challenge for a year. Then I went to the 2019 conference and that's where like I got most of my inspiration because I was around like the same age as most of the guys up there, like Jack, Kyle, Matt, like, you know, like Roland, Huddy. So I don't know, I just got a lot inspired by all of them. And I thought, well, if they can, Jack didn't even go to college. So I was like, well, his story is a lot similar to mine. Why can't I do the same thing if I also like put in the work? So after that, I started full-time trading until this day.
Nice.
Very nice. I have a quick question about that, Mariana. How did you find out about the conference? Like, where'd you get info on that?
Since I joined the challenge in 2018, I already got the updates on my email. So in one of them, it said like the conference. I'm And then when I got back from a trip that I took, I was like, wow, this is interesting. Like seeing it in person, I feel like would make it a lot more real, a lot less like something that I just see on like the computer that makes no sense. Instead, like going there and meeting them like in person, I thought it could be a little more inspiring for me, a little more real than what I thought. Because honestly, it's just so alone. You know, trading is just trading. You're by yourself. So not knowing anybody, not being able to talk to anybody, you kind of wonder like, will I really make it? Because, you know, it's like a question of if I'm here all by myself, just trading by myself, like who is there to watch me? Who is there to actually inspire me or tell me to do homework or tell me to do well on a test, you know? It's just you versus you. So going to the conference, I thought it could get a lot more knowledge behind it.
Awesome. That's cool. Dig it.
I just want to say that we are all really proud of you having your
Mhm.
first
Yeah.
email. I think everyone is like,
Yeah.
"Woo!"
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you go, girl.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Honestly, it's amazing, you know, because when I was there, I think I mentioned in one of my tweets, everything just felt so far away. You know, you're sitting behind on a row, but you're just listening to speakers. You know, everything is just, you just feel like you can't really touch it because it's just such a big dream that you have. But knowing that you can have the same knowledge that they can, because we have the same knowledge that the speakers had at their conference. So making it real in your head, like thinking that it is possible, because if a person that didn't go to college like me, you know, I did love to study, but I still didn't get the full knowledge or anything. Like anybody can actually do it too if they study, because everybody has the same exact information.
I have a question. So I've been trading on and off for about 4 years now. When I can between 4 kids and a business and, all that stuff. But sometimes I feel like it's going really good. And then sometimes I have like a big crash. And then I feel like I'm just, like you just said, I'm by myself. I don't have someone saying, no, you don't, that's not right. You're not supposed to do that. Check for this. So sometimes I feel like I'm making bad mistakes, but then I'm repeating the bad mistakes because I don't even realize that they're bad mistakes. Does that even make sense? Like,
Yeah,
was
that
there a
makes sense.
point where you just like maybe towards the beginning or whenever where you thought, okay, this is starting to make sense. Let me take a trade. I mean, when did it really truly start to click? Because sometimes I feel like 1 month I'm like, okay, everything's really starting to click now after 4 years. But then sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I feeling so overwhelmed all the time?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think we all go through that. You know, it's like a bunch of ups and downs while you're still trying to find the pattern that you like. Because for me, I started trading NASDAQs and I was trading them on the long side. You know, that was just not working for me. Another thing that, so I would have like a gain, but then I would lose it all because it just didn't make sense. It wasn't consistent because it didn't fit my personality. So then I was buying high day breaks, which is one of the things that I did in the beginning all the time. There was a breakout, I'm like, I'm on it. But what was I doing? Selling on the dip, you know, because there's like things are just going to go 100% from your buy. So what happened was I was buying the breakouts, but then I'm like, this isn't working for me. Yeah, this works sometimes, but it doesn't work other times. So I started to buy dips, and that to my personality started to like fit me. And I started to be more consistent on that pattern. So it's like, it's just doing the same thing over and over until you find something that works for your personality, which was dip buying for me. Maybe
Right.
it is in OTCs also, because NASDAQs didn't work for me. It just didn't give me the consistency that I gained after I started trading OTCs. So it's like trying the most that you can. Just
Right.
try everything with little risk, and then find really like your groove, your where you're comfortable, because you feel it. You know, you can sense what works a lot more for you than for others.
Right.
Okay.
So,
that leads me to
oh, go ahead.
question. You are probably, well, your consistency is what, in the 70%, and I know everyone, they've been even messaging me, how does Mariana have such a great winning percentage? And I went through quite a bit of your trades. I'm sure you got annoyed with me giving you karma. Um, you have a lot of 1 to 5% gainers for, I would say, your average kind of profit that I've actually gone through and seen. And then you'll have like the 18, the 20, yeah, those. And then a lot of your losses, it looks like they're between like 1 and 3%. How do you know when you no longer feel comfortable in the trade and to just get out? And how do you get executed on all that stuff, especially taking your bigger size now?
Yeah, so I trade mostly OTCs, and like you said, the entries can sometimes be a pain, sometimes you miss, but I'm not going to chase. I like to find the right spot, the right entry, because you can kind of see by telling on the chart where there is a trigger, or whenever it's like a panic dip buy, you know when the turn is coming, where you want to be executed at that same price. So I think of it as the entry is so important that I immediately have to be proven right. If I'm not proven right away, then I will exit for very small gains or very small losses. And that's how I kind of liked my consistency and kind of like keep that up, because if my entry doesn't prove that I'm already not right, I just exit, because I think it should already be proving me right, since I know that I got it on a key level that should budge, that should do something. So if it's not working, I can get out and I can always re-enter. You know, I can always trade it again.
Makes sense.
Love it.
Mariana, I was wondering if you had any stories like a disaster trade that you might want to share with us.
Sure. Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
thinking about it when Melissa said to think about like one bad trade. And I think I've told this story a couple times and I love it, but at the time I didn't love it. So it was, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with CYDY around
Oh,
June,
yeah.
1 to 10.
Yeah.
So around
Yeah.
this time, I was still not over PT. I was maybe 20K profits. So I had taken a lot of dip buys because it was around March that I started to evolve from going from NASDAQ longs and messing up to OTC panic dip buys and dip buys. So I was like, okay, I got the hang of things, you know, CYDY, perfect opportunity. It's at 10, you know, I want to nail this dip buy because I think that I have the knowledge to do it. And, you know, I would just think about all of the traders that were going to nail it. I'm like, I'm going to nail it too, because why can't I, you know, because it's a dip buy and I've been doing it for a few months now. So CYDY came, I was prepared to take 2K shares and it was at 10. So I was like, not max, but that's what I took. I went all in. Well, the thing started, I started buying 500 shares at around 6. So I got myself with like a 590 average and it went as low as like the high 4. So at the lows, I was at around negative 4,000 to 5,000 on my position at the lows. And at this moment, I was at 20K, you know, so I'm like, wow, like, what do? I froze because it's a panic dip buy. You can't sell because panic selling is just like, how do you even get executed? You know that you're going to get executed at the bottom. Well, I waited for the bounce and I got out for break even. But at that moment, I realized all of the mistakes that I had made throughout that whole thing. I was too eager to get into the trade. I FOMO. I didn't wait for the right entry. I didn't see support lines. I didn't take into consideration how many shares I was buying. I was not ready for it. I didn't take enough. Like, it was so messy. But then again, I thought I could do it. And it was a mess. It could have been really bad. Yeah, I got off the break even, but that still taught me a lot of things, you know. You don't always have to be right. You just need to manage your risk and know how that can just impact you, you know, like what happens if it can still go down 100% from your buy. Like I sold the top of the bounce. If it didn't bounce to that much, I would have taken a big loss back then, and like in correlation of my whole account. So it's just not worth it to FOMO a trade. Just wait for it, be patient, and know that if you're wrong, it's fine, because you can always just get back in.
Do you consider that probably like one of your messiest trades ever?
It's my messiest trade though.
Yeah.
100%. But my best pattern is panic dip buy. So I did not quit, you know? Yeah, it was scary. It was like it was so uncomfortable. I didn't even know what to say after that. I'm like, okay, wow, I literally just left. And I'm like, well, that's kind of scary. But I saw the potential that it had. And I also saw that it just fit me. It felt comfortable for something that I was doing. And then after that, I obviously sized back down. I got more comfortable, and it was only around December where I actually started to get the confidence back to size up. So it took me a few months to even get back from it, but I didn't stop trading that same pattern because I knew how much potential it had.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes.
So sorry, I guess a follow-up question to that. Would you consider, if you're in a panic dip buy too early, it's a fake out, it goes down, you can't get filled to cut losses quickly, do you keep adding? Do you add once? Do you add twice? Do you sell at the bottom? Do you wait for a bounce? What if there's no bounce? What do you do in those situations? Because I get caught in those pretty often, and I've been trying and testing a whole bunch of different things. What do you do?
Besides freaking out.
Honestly, there's just so many different types of panic dip buys, but I will say that maybe 70% of the time when I am adding, when I am not cutting, when I am waiting for the bounce, I still take a loss. So whatever you do, however you do, just know that you're going to take a loss on it, and might as well just sell, you know? It obviously depends. Now it's different for me because I can take a smaller size starter and then add only if it's an A+ setup, but I would be cutting when maybe like 4 months ago, I was cutting, and that I tried to have my limit sell as fast as I could before anybody else. So if it was already not bouncing, I already wanted out because it should prove me right away, or else it's just gonna be a fake out. You already know it. So if it's not budging right away, I just cut and re-enter lower. And then if it just gets into a messy position, just try to exit whenever you can, whenever you like on a bounce or whatever it is. If you take a loss, it's still not a good way if you didn't cut right away.
So you're saying kind of like more like cut during that fake out, like before, if you can see that fake out coming, and then wait for it to get down to where the bottom is, and then kind of catch that bottom to do the bounce. Okay. Cool.
Perfect.
Whatever you feel, whatever you just feel is right. If you already know you're going to take a loss, you might as well just panic sell. You know, if you know that it could get really ugly, because they can. Like UAMM today, you know, that bounce was super choppy and it faked out a few times. Well, I sold right away into one of the pops, but if I was stuck in one of them, I knew that I wasn't going to get out for break even, because it just didn't look like it was going to bounce around my price. So I tried to get out. Same as AABB, LTNC last month. Those were tough. So once you start to like get a hang of things, after I started to trade them a lot more, once they started faking out, I don't trade them more than 2 times. I give them one shot. If you're gonna pay me, but if you don't, like, I'm not gonna keep trying to buy it, because I know it's just gonna become an emotional ticker for me.
Yeah, you start chasing it after a little bit. I've done that with a couple of tickers and had to slap myself on the hand and then sit on no trading for a minute. after doing that. So
I have a question. What do you do pre-market that is not trading related for your mental health trading psychology?
Exercise. I always exercise every single morning because I don't know, like we just sit, that like our job is literally sitting down every single day, all day. Like you need to move, do something, and that just wakes me up. It's
I
healthy.
had a heavy bag I was hitting. I need to get it here. That's probably good.
Mhm. Whatever it is, like walking, just jogging a little outside when it's warm out. Now it's too snowy, so I can't do that. But whatever it is that just kind of clears your mind
yep,
before.
I can say I have a pure appreciation to hear you say that, Mariana, as a personal trainer. Hats off to that on a day like that.
Yeah, exercise is great.
My mom was always about it my whole life. And that's just a routine.
That's awesome. All right.
Melissa.
Yeah.
You're trading in some options, aren't you?
I am, yes.
How's that going? Are they swing trades? Fill us in on that. It seems like you're doing pretty well with that.
So the options trading for me, I did the Evolve Trader program. So I had a neck surgery in October last year, and that kind of like set me on my rear end for a minute. And I decided, well, me and my boyfriend both decided that we wanted to do Evolve Trader. We're both really curious because he was more like wanting to go into shorting and figure all that stuff out. And he kept watching all the other DVDs on the shorting. And I kept saying from day one, going through all those DVDs, I'm like, I don't know about the shorting. Like that's probably going to be last on the list for me to really want to dive into and learn. So I felt, for some reason, I just felt like after looking at all the option stuff, it felt safer to me to try to do puts versus actually getting shorts to share. Not that it necessarily is, because options can go wrong very quick. That I've learned, and you can definitely lose like hundreds, thousands of dollars in a matter of seconds.
Yep, me.
Oh,
Silver,
no.
$2,700.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
very familiar with options, but like, how do you manage risk?
Personally for me now, I only put in, I think of, I only want to risk $100 now. So if I buy a contract, I just expect to lose 50%. So I'll only buy like a $2 contract, and I'll let myself draw down to 50% and I'm out. So I don't really bet a lot on options anymore because I've been burned too many times. I don't know how Melissa does it. She probably has a better way.
I can't say that mine's much different than that. I know that there's like a whole thing that gets taught in Evolve Trader, Evolve Trader, as far as like the risk management. And even so with the whole Tim challenge, I know that there's like the whole ratio as far as, figuring all that out. I'm awful with mathematics. I will admit that. So
I day trade options. Also, I day trade the Q and the SPY. And what I do, I trade similar to Marina. I'm sorry, is that Marina? That's how you pronounce your name? Marina.
It's Mariana.
With the
Me?
5%, and I cut my losses the same way. The way you were talking about how you cut losses really quick if it doesn't go your way, that's what I do. I know that the Evolve Trader teaches the 30 to 50% risk, but I do just 5 to 10% on the Q. Consistently, I make 4%, but I cut my losses really quick, like she does. That's what I do to manage risk. It used to say like 50% and stuff. If it doesn't go my way, I cut it. I had a $10 loss today on the Q, but then so.
Yeah,
anyways.
I basically try to like, I'd say it depends on like what it was that I put into it, but I try to keep between like a $10 to $50 amount, like dollar wise. So I just basically like hawk it like it's my job and figure out like, I know you're not supposed to necessarily stare at the gains and everything, but that's just been
It's hard.
yeah, it's hard.
I look on my phone and then I have the charts on my computer because I can't.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard with options. It hurts so bad when you lose.
It does. It definitely does.
Yeah.
So
Are all you guys full-time day traders or part-time, full-time?
yeah, I've been.
Well,
Yeah.
I am, but it's only because I'm unemployed right now. I was laid off in COVID. It's been a year since I worked, so all I've been doing is trading. But I just started a year ago, and I don't know. I'm doing it full time. I treat it like a full-time job, but it's like I'm going to school. I'm not making money, so.
I mean, I do. I try to do it full time, but sometimes I feel like I have like every obstacle against me between like getting 4 kids to school. The school drop off time is exactly when the market opens. And then same thing with school pickup. So every time I get back to my house, it's already 30 minutes past market open and so much has changed in 30 minutes. So just trying to, just trying.
Yeah, juggling it in where you can. That's
just trying. So
Yeah, I have that
That's
same
rough.
issue. I have a daughter and her school times, they correspond exactly with market open and then right at the end of the day, because they're only doing half days now because of COVID. So right when the end of day comes along, she is coming out of school. And so I try to tell my husband, please pick her up for me so I can play the markets.
I
Yeah, it's
homeschool my
challenging.
kids and it's so I have to work around that, but it is nice that I don't have to miss the market open. They just like midday is when we do our lessons. So, but then I have to deal with like, I feel like it's one thing to learn to manage my emotions, but then like managing them is like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I will lose money so quick if my kids come and like have meltdowns while I'm trying to trade. I'm like, it's so
Yeah,
hard.
been there.
Yep.
You're having a meltdown next to them off to the side.
Yes, exactly.
Mine's on Twitter.
I just I'll leave my door
Exactly.
open. This is what I do. I leave my door open. And if I'm in a trade, I close my door. And if they interrupt me for a non-emergency when my door is closed, like their life is ruined for 3 days. So
Grounded. They're grounded.
That's it. Consequences. Yeah, I will be joining that parenting portion. I'm not going to say that I've been blessed in that sense. It's actually really sucked. My youngest son, I live down in Florida, and unfortunately, when I moved out of the state of New York 3 years ago, my youngest, who was now 14 but was only 11 at the time, his dad was really fighting me and wouldn't let me take him out of the state. So he stayed back up in upstate New York, and but that is all coming to a head with itself. And I've just sat and kind of let things be how they need to work themselves out. And by this summer, if not sooner, I should have my baby home with me. So
congratulations.
Ah, good. That's nice to hear.
Awesome.
Mm.
so yeah, that whole market morning struggle and afternoon thing, that's gonna be something I'm gonna figure out how to juggle, because the last few years has just been me basically like managing myself and whatever I throw myself at, which is always 100 things. So yeah, but as far as the option trading thing, so yeah, so I've been in that sense about, I think it's been, maybe it was like end of November, I believe, is when I started the whole Evolve Trader, and I went through the whole course twice just to make sure that I felt like I understood it properly. And then I was really nervous the first options trade that I did, because I had been mostly concentrated on just a lot of listed stocks, so mostly NASDAQ, but just because I felt like OTCs were confusing me. I don't know why I felt like they were being so confusing. I was struggling with their pattern for some reason, which is funny because I look back at it now that I've experienced all of this other stuff. And I've actually started to revert my thought process. Like, no, I think the NASDAQ is confusing to me now. And the OTCs, actually, since I watched one of Jack's update videos that he put out, and it was specifically on, there was a little segment that I've been driving myself nuts with, as far as like looking at the different day and time segments that you can switch the timing out from. I've been playing around with that so much, and I've never really felt like I like the 5-minute window, and then I just kind of bounce between, looking at the longer time frames and the smaller ones, just to feel like I'm feeling it out the best that I can see it. But when he mentioned about for the OTC specifically, it's the 15-day 15-minute window. When I threw a bunch of them on, I went back through a whole bunch of my old trades and I threw that time segment on, I was like, oh my God, it was like big light bulb went off, and I was like, now I see it.
It's 2020 vision.
Yeah, it was like the binoculars got focused in, and I was like, okay, so I'm actually this whole month I've restarted myself. So as much as I was really pushing through the options, and I have been successful with them, there's been a couple that have humbled me nicely. And I will say Airbnb, I think I got a little married to its story for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. I got stuck on it, and I really stalked that thing to the point where I was like, oh yeah, I look at its close, I look at its open, I look at it this, I look at that. Oh, I know exactly where that thing, I can guess, I was spot on with guessing where its strike price was. And even my boyfriend was he was starting to get mad at me. He was like, I can't even trade near you. He's like, just get away from me. He's like, you're so on with this. He's like, I don't even want to be near you. So, but yeah, I like the options trade, but I really want to kind of reconfigure, I think, more towards OTCs again. It's just not been consistent. And when you're in an options trade, you're married to your screen. That's it. You could be married to your screen all day long. And I'm juggling a fitness business, and I've got a bunch of other things off to the side that I am in and out of all day long. And me being married to a screen all day long is not convenient. And me being in with clients and sitting there staring at 3 different platforms on my mobile devices is not very beneficial to them as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of, I don't know, it's been successful. It's definitely been fun, but I think I'm going to kind of leave those as if I really see something that's worthy, then okay. But I really want to really zoom in on the OTCs, and I've definitely liked the panic dip buys. Those are fun. Those were right off the bat. I definitely I related with those well, and I like Bowen's his VWAP hold high of days. Those are fun as far as listed. Those don't work out too well with OTCs. I think I kept trying to convince myself that I could make those work with OTCs, but that's a listed thing. And then definitely first green days for me.
No, I think that's one thing that the OTCs do have is good risk reward. I think that it just channels very cleanly. Unlike a NASDAQ, I think I would always have to have a wider risk, because you know that it can dip a lot more than you think, and it can also go up more than you think. So I would find myself not using the right risk. Instead, with OTCs, you can find a clear level that has been holding all day that should not break. Also, another thing with OTCs is that most of them are volatile. Like you said, you don't want to be married to the screen all day. 9:30 to 10:30, 3 to 4, and you already know that from 3 to 4 you'll find the right OTC to swing, or you'll find the right stock that will panic or maybe break out in the morning, where you should just be done with it if it just doesn't work. Because midday now is pretty dull. Not in February, but March definitely it has showed that we're back to the midday trading hours.
Mariana, have you ever thought about doing a live recording of your trades?
No, honestly, I think that would just be so much pressure for me. It's like I'm already just trying to trade.
Mhm.
I could look into that in the future, obviously. I can do it, but the past few months, I don't know, there's just so many things that you kind of like look at that just thinking about you recording yourself also and talking behind it, which is
Mhm.
be a little bit messy, but it could be something I could think about later on when I'm like more comfortable with.
Can
the
I ask you a
whole-
question? Is OTCs one of the things you look for when you start to make your watch list, or is it like biggest percent gainers, or do you just kind of look over the whole board as a whole?
I look over the whole because like everything, but I'm mostly focused on OTCs.
Mhm.
And when I create my watch list, I'm looking for ones that were volatile, that just, that were up 1,600%, like
Right.
the one today, SODE. So yeah, mostly just the ones that are up on the day, OTCs, and then for NASDAQs, I'll look for any overextended stocks that maybe I can trade on a first red day, because sometimes each year will have shares, but I don't short it all. I'll only short here and there. I don't have a shorting brokerage. I'm mostly going long. And whenever I do make my watch list, it's either for a breakout, panic dip buy, or a swing overnight
Mhm.
on OTCs. So just looking at all of the ones that ran today from all of the chat rooms, all across all of the chat rooms, and thinking what could fit my pattern for tomorrow.
Right. Okay.
So
Is there
that
by
leads me
chance
to another question just for everyone. Trading is stressful, or it can be. How does everyone manage that kind of stress? Especially because Tim always talks about how female traders are statistically proven to be better than men and handle the emotions and stuff like that. How do you guys handle your emotions?
I do a lot of
We
go
don't
first?
handle
We
our
don't.
emotions. We go crazy.
I do a lot
No,
of
for
yoga.
me,
I
Yeah.
actually listen to music while I'm trading and I sing along with it. So that's always been a thing with me. I get anxiety when I drive. So I'm always listening to songs and singing along as I'm driving, and it works with trading too. I don't know. It calms me down somehow. That's what I do.
I decided to be completely sober, like no alcohol, clean diet. That's really been helpful for me, I feel like.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a degenerate gambler and I have no emotions. Just kidding.
Yeah.
well,
I
that's
have
an easy
emotions.
fix. Well, for me, I think after hours matters a lot. I think the after hours relaxing, watching something, just not thinking too much about the market, what's going to happen tomorrow, is something that kind of helps you tone down. Then the exercise the next day, and then after that, it's just all trading, but knowing that you need to have time for yourself as well.
Yeah, what I do is I go play with my son. I'll read one of my trading books. I go over Mariana's trades. Like, what did I do wrong? What did she do? Then I'll talk to my parents. I'll tweet about it, like anything. And then I sleep on it and then right back to it the next day.
I do a lot of yoga. Yoga helps.
And I think like for me, meditation is huge. Yoga is huge. It's like what you're doing in the after hours of the market. It's like, what is your diet like? Are you getting enough sleep? Do you have a balance of like what is actually externally going on in the world? Because it's so easy since you're in front of your screen all the time to just think that's everything. Then you look down at your body, you're like, wow, like I can go on walks, like the sun is shining. There's so many things to do and be grateful for that aren't like completely reliant on this like one specific thing on the screen. And I think also seeing everyone's journey, Matt, Kyle, Marina, everyone who started with not that much and like ended up like they've had losses and now they're here. So it's like if I take a loss, I'm like, okay, like this is just a learning lesson. This isn't going to stop me from like reaching the overall big picture a year or 2 years from now. You know, it's like, it's going to be meaningless as long as I take the lesson to heart, but this one loss isn't going to affect my overall journey unless I let it.
I like that.
Yeah.
For me, it's just nature. I do whatever I can to figure out a few minutes just to go out on one of the trails. And this last couple of months, I've not been able to get out for runs so much, but running's been a huge thing for me. So working out, running, nature, just trying to be overall grounded as an individual. A lot of meditating.
I think that
actually
taking breaks from
sorry.
trading, oh, sorry.
That's okay,
Taking
go ahead.
breaks
Oh,
from
no,
trading
sorry, I
is
didn't-
underrated.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think for me, I try to keep in focus why I got into trading, and I have very specific goals. I haven't defined what time frame I want to do it all in, but for me it was to generate, a sustainable income, and it's not much. It's $3,000 a month in trading. I'm trying to make enough money to buy a new car. And the third one is a big one. I want to pay off, what's left of my HELOC on my house, and I think those three, and to be able to spend time with my children, of course. And I remind myself, why am I doing this? Why am I spending hours upon hours of studying and watching videos? And, I'm one of the ones that I watch the videos while I'm driving, which is not good, but I have my phone up on my dashboard, and that's how I get a lot of my time in. And Melissa, I think I shared with you, and Mariana, I think I also tweeted at you that I took a break. I traded, the first 4 days in January, and then I actually got called to a project that has become a full-time job. It's temporary. It's actually for the whole COVID contact tracing project in New York State. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to pad my trading account, and I'm going to save this money, and I'm going to come back. And I have such FOMO right now because I'm watching and I'm getting all the notifications on Twitter about how everyone's doing. You hit $1 million, he hit $1 million, and a lot of these tickers I had traded last year, and I started late. I started in November. I actually came into the challenge in August, but I didn't do my first trade until November. So I only traded, 7 weeks of last year, and I saw the potential, and I just got totally addicted to it. But I knew that I was starting small. I started with $2,000 in my account, and I decided this year, I'm like, okay, I need more money. So the easiest way for me to make money, this opportunity came into my lap, and I was like, okay, it's temporary. It's only supposed to go for a couple months, hopefully, and now I'm telling my family, I'm like, this whole COVID thing, it's a great opportunity, but if it all blew over and New York State said that we were all great, we're opening up again, and this project came to an end, I would not be crying, because I just take what I earned so far and I'd get back in. So really for me, it's just staying focused on why I started this in the first place. And it just so happens that I ended up loving it.
That's awesome. I haven't seen, or maybe I just don't recognize, Kira,
I'm here.
how is your trading going? What's your story?
Oh, I bombed my account today, so I'm not really proud of myself at the end of the day. Not the entire account, but a good $1,000 on HMNY. And we were doing so good today. We were taking all these singles, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna break 0.013 and it's gonna keep going, and like it went down. We tried to average down, and we kept trying to average, and just got so messy and out of hand. So we've got a lot of rules for tomorrow going in. Like we could only average down one more time, and if it doesn't work, then like cut the loss, because I guess like me and my other two trading partners were very stubborn, and it just like, it took the best of us today. But as for where I started in 2018, and I went to 2 of the conferences for 2018, 2019. And then we took a break for about a year. We had a big, like, we crashed our accounts kind of in January, think of like that year. And then like last November, I was like, we really got to get in. Like, I don't want to do like the current job I'm doing. Like, I don't want to work for anybody. I just want to be able to like stay home, like play with my cats and all that stuff, like spend time with like the people you really love. And then, yeah, like we were like, okay, let's just like refund the accounts and like try to like get back into studying. And then, like I was like, yeah, like I'm going to be a full-time challenge student. So now we're just like, yeah, it's full-time for us. And most parts it's doing really well. Like I really want to be like self-sufficient on my own without needing anybody else to help me. And of course, that's obviously like the main goal here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about your account. I guess and that's where rule number 1 comes into play, cut losses quickly. And that's where Mariana's could help too, where you buy on dips. If it either goes in your favor, otherwise cut it. That's awesome that you were willing to share that with us.
Yeah,
I'm sure we all appreciate it, and it'll be awesome to see how you recover from that and the lessons that you learn and how you improve.
And that's like good that it happened, because it just shows you that what rules you can make for yourself. Like I have rules not to trade more than like once or twice on a panic dip buy that's just not working. But I only came up with that rule after I over traded them and lost a bunch on keep trading them, because they have to bounce someday, but they don't always have to bounce. They could just go to zero because they can. So it just helps you to make those rules for yourself and what works for you. Just get to know yourself, but only with making those mistakes is what will just make you feel better and make you better in the long run.
Absolutely. And we decided, like these losses, even though they seem super big right now, they will save us like a ton of money later on because we endured these mistakes. And going forward, we have to like really be on par with each other, like with our psychology, how we're feeling, our emotions of the day. And be like, okay, you know what? No more trading, enough. Like, let's go get ice cream or whatever it is,
So Mariana, I saw, was it the other day, maybe the other week, that you and Jack are now working with Scripts to Trade. How do you like that? They messaged me and I became one of their partners or affiliates officially today. And so I'm just curious, what's your experience with that so far?
So far, I'm working on one of the scanners because I want to have a good pre-market and after-hour scanner, which I don't think I really have. I want to be able to see them before everybody else sees them. And I just think it's great because I don't have that. I want to be able to get in before everybody else. So that's one thing that I'm working on right now. I don't have any of their products yet. I know Jack has them. It shows the volume traded on the day and the dollar volume traded on the day, which can just show up on like the left side of your screen. You don't have to go anywhere to look for it. So I think it's very practical because you can just see it on the same chart without having to go anywhere else. It would just give you less time, be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because yesterday they sent me one of the scans and I have to look again. We're setting everything up after this actually. And it was like a volume indicator. So like when the stock spikes up, consolidates, and then lots of volume comes in before it either breaks above the highs or it breaks that consolidation, and it points an arrow to show like the volume's coming in now. So that would be kind of like an ideal entry to buy. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was wondering if you've tried that one yet.
No, I haven't tried that one yet, but I know all of their scanners are all very, very good, like all of the other different products. I still have to try it, but I'm gonna update when I try it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that sometime when we get more experience with it, because I think that's really cool. But I just had to get your opinion.
I think Weeble has an indicator like that, a super trend indicator. Me and Zena were playing around with it, and I think it was like 54% accurate is what we came up with. It seems like it's the same thing. It's just like a very clear arrow for that. So I don't know if you're interested in, if someone else is interested in trying it, you can try it on Weeble.
Yeah, that's interesting. I first saw the scripts to trade on Tim Grattani's trading tickers too. And then I saw the announcement on Twitter that Jack and Mariana were using it or affiliated with it. And then they asked me. And so I was just curious about that because they do a whole, they're programmers or coders and traders. And so they will design personalized code for whatever criteria. And I've never used Weeble, so I don't know. And I just saw this stuff yesterday. So I just thought it would be cool if everyone saw that or checked out Scripts to Trade as I don't know if it'd be an alternative to Stocks to Trade or because I use Stocks to Trade too. But Mariana was talking about pre-scanners to find things before they happened, whereas like Stocks to Trade is while they're already happening or after they already happened. So it'll be fascinating to just see the differences. But how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing today on their trades with the slower market versus the craze that we were in?
It's boring. Like, what if midday's actually a thing again? I mean, it's great, but bring back February.
I know. I finally figure out these patterns and there's none to really trade. I'm like, come on.
I took what I've been doing this month that I've been doing differently is using less size and taking singles. And I don't know, I have like a set goal, but it's fine if I don't hit the set goal, obviously, but it's just a few singles that add up. I took about 3 to 4 trades today, a few singles, which was okay. Like, I'm not going for home runs. There's no good panic dip buys anyways, just toning down size, taking my singles, cutting losers quickly because now there's a lot less follow through like we've seen. So like they'll go up then just fade off like VDRM, HNMY, like you mentioned, that Kira mentioned. So SOD also faded. So just realizing that we're not in the same hype that everybody's just keep buying and buying and buying, because even gap ups aren't working that well right now. Like they'll gap up, but we were used to 30-40% gap ups, and now it's maybe 5 to 10% if we're lucky. So making sure to adapt to the market and knowing that it's definitely different than for February.
Okay, sorry. I know I just asked one question, but here's another one. Tim Sykes in the challenge was warning everyone because the SEC's been halting a ton of OTCs now, shutting down promoters, stuff like that. And so he warned that traders shouldn't be holding OTCs overnight. I saw that same day you were still holding a stock overnight. How did you have confidence doing that, even though Tim was warning against it?
I don't, I'm following the patterns that I know, but I don't know if I'm going to get up to negative 100%. I'm not holding the same size that I used to hold overnight because I'm adapting to using a lot less size this month and not going for home runs like it was in February. So you never know with this OTCs, any of them could get halted, and that would be terrible. But I just know that I'm gonna swing first green day, no matter if it gets halted or not, because most times they're not, it gaps up. So I'm gonna take my odds. Odds are it won't get halted, but if it does, I'm gonna take my loss. But I don't know. I just think I'll keep following the patterns just with less size.
That makes sense.
I did the
Yeah,
same.
'cause- Oh, sorry,
I
go
did
ahead.
the same thing with Max D and decided like, okay, I'm ready to take my first swing. It's a first green day. It looks good. Everybody else is
yeah.
like, talking it up. I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then the next day it gapped way down. And we were like, oh no, this is bad. And I had only gone in with like maybe a third of my account. So I still had enough to like try to average down and save myself. And I saved myself, thankfully. But as soon as it opened, like I got right at the bottom and was able to just like get out at break even. But like the others, like not such a good, scenario for them because they had smaller accounts than I did.
So I was long maxi overnight and it made no sense. But I had a good average and also smaller size, which I was willing to take, but it was a first green day. So most often than not, it'll gap up or at least give you a sell break even. A lot of people are also long this stock. Like most times it works, most other times you get a gap down, but that's fine. You can just cut because you're willing to take the loss. If you know that if you're holding overnight, that's a risk. So you just use less size.
Mhm. Agreed.
I'm sorry, girls. I have to jump off and leave. But I just wanted to say this has been so great. And I've loved talking to everyone. And Marina, you're super inspiring. So I'm happy to be on this call with everyone. But my kids are just I have to go. So it's my time. But
Thank you for
but I'll
joining.
see everyone later. I'll chat everyone up in
Thanks for
Twitter.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really loved it. You're super inspiring, Marina. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so I guess I'll ask another question. For risk, I've been juggling different ideas for risk. I know, Mariana, you said that say if you're gonna buy a breakout, you buy on the dip. And then you risk, I know it'd be easier if I had a chart to show because they vary so much. So it's hard for a general question, but you go off of the key support, the closest key support for your risk. And do you size in kind of like Gratani does, where you have that key risk, instead of him, he buys the breakout. Do you wait for that dip after it breaks out and then risk on that key support and then size in based on the percentage risk and set that dollar risk?
So I'll set an example if you guys can just go back and check on some of your charts today on LKNCY. I saw I was holding in the morning and I saw that it was a clear hold at around the $8 round number level. So at around when it held that $8 level, I wanted to risk that 8 and got in at 808 at $8.08. Before the breakout was 840. So I wanted to anticipate the breakout, risking 8 cents. It could have easily panicked because it was still a huge gap up, but I thought maybe some buyers could come in. There's also a lot of shorts stuck in this. So I thought I had a good round number risk. Maybe if it got ugly, low a day was 780. So I was still risking 18 cents. So 18 cents for a potential of 945, which went to 945. And I took my single after it made a high day, but I think I would rather prefer to anticipate the high day breakout than get in after. Of course, it held after and then went higher, but I thought I would like it better if it was closer to low a day, so I could just have a clear risk and not have to deal with back holding.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's
And then
something that I've been,
maybe sometimes you can even add on the high day, and then if you're looking for a longer picture idea, but I take most of my size before the break, so I risk a little and make a lot more than wanting to buy at the highs and then waiting for the dip, and where is it going to stop?
okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because that's one thing that I've been toying with is Gratani, where he talks about the higher odds being buying that breakout, but every time I buy that breakout, just about, it immediately panics down, or after a couple minutes, it panics down, and then I have learned to kind of size in really small, but I have to make a pretty big percent gain to cover the fees and commissions just to be able to handle, say, losing $10 or $20 with an 18% risk. And that goes kind of completely against of Tim's cut and losses quickly, which I've trained myself to do. So, and now it's messing with my percentages, saying I'm just today, I think it was on HMNY, I bought that. I knew it was overextended. It had the breakout at 13 and it doesn't have a history of too good of runs, but I thought that maybe I would try and buy that breakout, and I got in at 0.0128. And then it went up real quick to 0.0133. I was too slow to exit. It panicked down to my risk at 0.0111, I think it was, and I got out 0.0108. And so I had a 15% loss, but I only was risking $10 with slippage. It was like $16, and then commissions, it was turned out to be $26. And I saw that Tim was dip buying it, which failed as well. And so I was just really curious if you anticipated, waited for the dip afterwards, or bought the breakout. And so that makes a lot of sense. And I've noticed that I do a lot better with anticipating the breakout as well. And so I just thought that would be an interesting question to come back on if I was ever stressing.
Yeah, for HMNY, I don't, I was never looking at this because I thought the ideal entry was 0057. So if it was trading at 01, I don't think I wanted to be part of it. And it just, I guess I would have traded it if it just held longer. I like for them to consolidate at least a few hours. Instead, this just kept going higher pretty much all day. Dip, got bought back up, and then it had like a few minutes of consolidation, but and then Tim was also buying it a lot too around the high. So I don't know. I avoided it because I thought it just didn't have the amount of consolidation I would have wanted.
And I completely agree. I guess it was probably partially a FOMO trade because I just barely missed the consolidation on SODE. I took a picture when I opened up my laptop when I was laying my son down for a nap time, and it was that perfect consolidation right before it started spiking. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. But my kid, he's getting allergies or something. So runny nose, he's kind of cranky. And so I had to be there when he woke up, and then just close the laptop, saw SOD when it was nap time. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Then I just quickly saw HMNY. I'm like, well, SODE just went to 1,000. Maybe it'll just go to 300%. I'm just like, but I sized it appropriately because usually when I do stuff like that, I'm wrong, and I'm usually late too. So no, that makes perfect sense and great reason to avoid it. When I went back and looked at it, the consolidation just wasn't there. It was just a bad trade.
Yeah. And then SOD was another one that I did not take part in any of it. What I was watching was the first dip. If you see from 11 cents, it goes to 43 cents. I thought it could test low 30s. It didn't test low 30s, so I didn't even want to dip buy because I thought it could give a better price since it already spiked so much. And then after it just started spiking, I knew that I had missed the ideal entry. So it was just up too much for my liking, you know, if that makes sense. So it was already, I think, up 1,300. So I just decided to miss it instead and focus on something else that maybe wasn't as extended, because I just thought I missed my perfect entry. So I'm just not, I don't need to get back in it.
Well, especially
Okay.
with the market being so slow right now.
No chasing allowed.
No chasing, only tip funds.
Can I ask what broker everyone is using? Because Tessa, you mentioned you had broker's fees. I don't have any. I'm with Fidelity.
I use the E-Trade. I think a lot of people or a lot of brokers were having issues with when COVID hit and then the stimulus checks and just everyone was joining. And I also live in the middle of nowhere. So I have lots of internet issues, and apparently they schedule power outages now. And so
wow.
I just have bad luck.
I don't know. I have E-Trade and I live in Las Vegas, so I still have issues with E-Trade. I've been thinking about switching actually. So
I have E-Trade and Thinkorswim.
Okay.
I have Thinkorswim, E-Trade, and Fidelity. So yeah, I know on the OTCs, Fidelity typically
That's
does.
right. Yeah. Some OTCs, they just won't do. If they told me that if news doesn't come up on the otcmarkets.com website for that ticker, they will not let you trade it.
So I use Questrade because it's my Canadian broker that allows me to trade American OTCs. And also we're not really, limited by the PDT rule either because of that as well. But I find it to work very well. I've never really had any issues. When everybody got stopped they were prevented from using or trading GME that one day, we were absolutely fine. And like maybe I should have tried going into it, but I was like so scared to even attempt NASDAQ stocks. And it was like the next time, like, oh no, I should have done it. But it was like that FOMO of missing that opportunity.
Now, PDT only applies to margin accounts though. Because I trade well over 3 trades. When I was trading, I traded well over 3 trades a week.
yeah, you just have to wait for that money to settle, right?
Well, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wait for it. It takes about 2 days for every one of my trades to settle, but it only really applies to margin. And if you're shorting, obviously, because I know with Fidelity, you have to have a margin account to short. And I don't know how to short.
Me either.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay, sweet.
Yes.
I'm using my car audio. I use Street Smart Edge with Charles Schwab. And I find that it actually works really well. It's like a whole thing with, you have a MacBook, you have to download a Citrix receiver and stuff. But I love Charles Schwab. I'm also using a cash account instead of margin. So that helps a lot with getting over PDT. But Charles Schwab has actually been like really great. That's who I first invested when I was like 18 or whatever. And it's been working really well. I also know that the storms from the winter, we called them and asked what was going on. And they said a lot of brokers were having trouble because of all the storms. That also might be a reason why recently brokers have been kind of glitchy.
What do they charge for OTC stocks, Emily?
Nothing, no commission.
Nothing. I thought so. I was planning on switching to them because I use Street Smart Edge for other things. And yeah, I'd heard that they didn't charge for OTCs. So I was thinking of maybe switching over there.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I don't know how their executions are all right. I normally try, and I'm not getting into things when it's not super volatile. I normally like buy into consolidation, so it's easier for me. But the executions and everything have been really great, and their customer service is also really good.
All right, great.
Yeah.
OTC fills are pretty cool. Oh, it's another kitty. What's her name?
Oh, it's do I have another cat on my screen?
Wait, we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Do I have another cat on my screen?
No, I'm talking about Melissa's cat.
Oh, okay. I have 3, so sorry.
Wait, we still can't hear you, Melissa.
Oh, you can't?
Oh, now we can.
Is it okay now?
Yeah,
Yep.
now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, she was actually, it was a cat that my boyfriend and his kids adopted. And her adopted name was Mandy. But she just responds to Kitty all the time. I just walk around calling her Kitty and she's just fine with it. So I think they settled on a name of Phoenix though, because of all her cool orange colors. Like the combination of like the orange and the black. I don't know. It's like the whole like ashes to dust type deal, the definition behind the Phoenix. So she's got really cool colors all over.
Yeah.
She's Trader Kitty by day though. Like while I'm sitting there at the screen, she's sitting there checking everything out. I've actually got a couple of cute pictures that I was going to post of her on Twitter. She's helping me day trade.
Yeah. Hey Mariana, have you
Yeah.
used Thinkorswim to execute OTCs?
Yeah. It's a lot harder than it is with E-Trade. So
Yeah, I think
Thinkorswim, the only thing is that you only get like one shot at getting the order confirmations, because when you have to type in like the order, like I don't know, you have to go through this whole process to make one trade. Instead with E-Trade, you can just click on the level 2 and then you can fill as many as you can. Instead with Thinkorswim, you have to create multiple orders in order to make another trade. So that was like the only reason why I started using E-Trade a little more, was to fill like a few more times instead of making a whole new order and then seeing if I could fill or not. So it's only like one time, and then if you miss, you miss.
That makes sense. I was watching, I'm sure you've heard of him, Mason Fecht. He was one of Tim's old students, and he does a lot of breakouts, and he has reached over 1 million. And I heard him talking about switching to, I think, Charles Schwab, because they have 0 OTC commissions. I was wondering if you've heard about that, because I was also watching one of Tim Lento's webinars from the challenge, and I saw on there on one of his little notes that Charles Schwab charges like $50 in, $50 out for foreign tickers. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if you've heard anything about that. I haven't asked.
No, I haven't heard of that. Honestly,
I read the same thing, actually, that they charge $50 for foreign tickers. I actually think I read that on their website. So
yeah, they charge $50 for foreign tickers, but not for Mexico or Canada. And then they charge nothing for OTCs, but for Mexico and Canada, if it ends in F, it's fine. But if it's from another country, then it's $50 every single time. So even if you add, they charge you $50. It's crazy.
wow.
Yeah, and and they add like 50 cents to where your order is. So let's say you buy it $3, that your average price in the stock is now $3.50. So I've gotten totally botched on that a few times.
Oh, you've used them? Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking about brokers. I was just curious. I know Tim really talks about E-Trade being the least shitty broker. So I was just curious about that. Thanks for the input.
Yeah,
But,
I
like,
love Charles Schwab. Yeah,
You
I
do?
really like them a lot. Yeah, I see that. Who was it? I think Roland uses Charles Schwab as well. I've seen him talk about it a few times, but no one talks about them. I really like them a lot. But you have to, if anyone wants to download them and you have a MacBook, you have to, since it's a, what's it called? A Microsoft there we go, a Microsoft application. You have to download a receiver for it, so you can operate like a Windows receiver on it, on your MacBook. But Charles Schwab, the broker itself, not that great. So you have to download Street Smart Edge, which is their like day trading platform. And it's like a little box I keep at the top of my screen, and the executions are super seamless as well. Like, I don't use any of their level 2 or anything like that. It's just purely for executions. But me and my partner Trip both use them and really like it. So I'd recommend them. I don't know about executions though, if they're the best. So yeah, $50 for foreign tickers, and then everything else is free.
Nice. Good to know.
So many F tickers have been running though.
I know it sucks, but not for Canadian or Mexican stocks or some. I don't know. It normally will give you. I have a confirmation on mine just in case. So before I like actually place the trade, it says, "Hey, like if you want to place this trade or not," and if it's a foreign ticker that is going to charge me, it'll let me know beforehand, so I can always like figure out if I want to. But I've like, oh my gosh, I've got like. I placed 4 trades in, it was one that Jack bought, and I made a lot of money on it technically, but I lost 200 immediately just because I bought in twice and then sold twice. I was like, but yeah.
That's what happened in like the early stages of my career. I didn't know how OTC worked or how commissions worked or anything. And I thought it was up on the year, and then I was down like 3K. Cause then I like went back into like the broker statements and stuff, and they were like, nope. Never mind.
Yeah, it was so bad. And we like called, and I'm like, I didn't know. I'm sorry. Like, I'm only at 6K account, but yeah. So it was good. Also, I actually had a question about panic dip buys. And so, do you pronounce your name Mariana, or how do you pronounce it?
Mariana.
Mariana. Okay, I heard
you can call me Mari. Like short is Mari, like I am in chat. So I guess it's easier.
Okay, beautiful. I just wanted to make sure. So for panic dip buys, recently I've noticed that they've been panicking like 20%, 25%, and then instead of bouncing immediately, they'll sort of form a base instead, where it'll just be like almost like a bear flag. And then I've seen a few people in the chat buy into that consolidation for return back to VWAP. So from someone who's really experienced with buying panic dip buys, do you ever buy into the basing? And like what indicators in the chart do you look for it to potentially rise later? Like today, it was MUNA, I think, or MM.
UAMM.
Yeah.
So that's a different type of dip buy. Yeah, obviously I'll dip buy right now, currently in March. Panic dip buys haven't been the same as they were in February, so I'm not really focused on them that much as I was before. But UAMM is a great example because formed a base and then it went to VWAP. So the first hour of the trading day, I'm looking for panic dip buys. They're the ones that panic, bounce right away, keep panicking, bounce right away. This one is more of a slower bounce idea that you have, which you are looking for a less volatile kind of trade where you're not like trying to get the bottom and then going at the top, but you're waiting for that same consolidation that you're kind of waiting to buy a breakout. You know, you see it basing at the lows, you see the selling stop, you see it's kind of starting the midday lull at around 10:30. So it's down 40% on the day, and you think that it can have a decent bounce because it's basing at the low. So once it's basing, you find a trigger like you would on a breakout, and then you buy that trigger, risking the low of the day, and then you think that it will give you a bigger bounce because it's a slower picture idea that you think that it should at least give you 10 to 20% bounce to VWAP, since it's already downtrended so much and the selling has sort of stopped because it's not the first few hours of the day. So that's a different type of dip buy, and I thought it worked well for UAMM, but I wasn't there because honestly, like, it has been a lot different than it was in February. So I've been kind of staying away. There's a lot of fake outs, but it worked today, and that's a great example.
Cool. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, because I've been seeing that happen frequently, and I'm like, you inspired me to get into panic dip buys, which were amazing a month ago or two, and now it's really hard to know if, because you'll buy it and then there's that like what do they call it, volume exhaustion with a green candle, and you're like, okay, it's gonna go up, but then it comes right down, but I think it's been an interesting risk to reward. If it does bounce, you can always risk that low of day and get like a really good average with a very clear risk and potentially like a high percentage back to VWAP. So I'm like trying something new. But
one thing that I look for, like 100% super important, are former runners. That's why I also was not interested in UAMM that much, because it was just one day failed spiker, you know, it just came right all the way back down. So I wasn't really that interested in it. But let's say a stock like TSNP, OZSC, ENCC, those are the ones I focus on the most, because I know they can bounce. Unlike this, I don't really know the history behind it. It hasn't really showed me that it can even bounce. It can go to negative 100. So instead, the other ones, you see support levels, you see where they should hold, you see that they have volume and they've showed you in the past that they can do it. So that's one thing that's why I haven't really been dip buying a lot of these anyways, because they've been one day of fail spikers, and then after that it's just choppy panic on the way down. And sure, they have good bounces after you've already tried them like 10 times.
yeah, really, okay, awesome, super good information. And then the other question I had is for panic dip buys, do you ever go back into the daily chart or the 15-minute, 15-day and find prior resistances with higher volume to find where that bounce may potentially happen, or do you normally just watch the price action as the panic is happening?
I think it's a little bit of both. I usually have an idea of where it could bounce, because most of them do bounce there. And if it happens before, I will use less size, cut quicker, and sell sooner. But if it's at the right spot and the level 2 matches that right spot, you know that it's an A+, then I think that is a good one to trade a lot better with bigger size if you're looking for like the best panic dip buy. But most of them don't do that, and some of them will just maybe panic at open, then you buy the quick turn, and then it starts to fade off, and then find the base around that resistance level. That's great, because you know that it's holding a level that it should, and then it just will bounce right back up. But you know, like it's a significant level in the chart, which just makes it even better.
Yeah, okay, sweet. That's super great. I've been using past resistance as a pretty big indicator for first green day setups after a 52-week high made it high. And a few days later, it's so crazy how well they normally test those higher volume resistance areas. So I thought the same thing might apply to panic dip buys as well.
Yeah,
but
definitely does. Same as like all of them, you know, like if like if you're looking at all of the charts, you see that there's always a significant level that you should be looking at. So I think it's important in every single strategy, being well-rounded of where the chart is at and what you're trying to trade, just knowing the trade that you want to take, knowing your ticker.
Sweet. Cool. Well, thank you so much, guys. I actually have to go. I have a meeting right now, but this was incredible, and I'm so just stoked to be around like so many incredible women. Mariana, you've been an inspiration from the start. I was talking to my boyfriend like months ago. I was like, this is gonna be the first female millionaire, like absolutely. And here you are.
I'm so happy. I love it.
Yeah, it's so
I love
great.
hearing that.
Yeah, from the start.
Yep. No, I love hearing that, because with enough hard work and determination, there can definitely be a lot more.
Oh yes, for sure. I'm like, it's just a matter of time, and I foresee hopefully a hot market in the future. I'm guessing there's enough traders introduced to the market now where it'll be some sector run or something. But super grateful for all of you, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your evening. And I look forward to continuing this and talking to you guys in the chat. So good luck, and I'll see you guys later.
Hi, Emily.
Meeting you.
I would actually like to know, what was the journey like, Mari, for your first, I don't know, 50,000 or your first 100,000? I mean, what was hard?
Like how
what was the hardest thing?
It was a lot,
Because
I
like for me, it's sleep. Like how
No.
did you study?
No, at first, like I mentioned before, I wasn't really the thing that I love the most, I was watching makeup videos while I was watching the market. I was looking at what lipstick I could buy. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I had Sephora on the right side and I was barely even watching the market. I'm like, what is this? This just doesn't even look like something I even like. So then I changed my charts to the pink color. It wasn't like I wasn't really into it because my mindset was like, this isn't for me, kind of. So at first that was me. I wasn't focused. Then I went to the conference and I got really inspired because I saw all of the young traders like Jack. He didn't go to college. That was the exact same thing. I wasn't going to go to college. So I thought, well, I could do it. And then I started with 15,000 between Thinkorswim and E-Trade. And this was September of 2019. Around December, I thought I was up $600. I was down 3,000. And I was like, wow, like I'm doing something wrong, like 2 months and I'm down 3,000. I was over trading OTCs like crazy. And I didn't really know that I was paying $13 for commissions, plus taking the loss, plus just getting back in, getting back out, trying to be conservative, but instead I was just over trading. So then I changed that and I started taking less trades, started taking more meaningful trades. So around from December to March, I was buying high day breaks, breakouts, nothing was really working. And this was around the COVID time. So I started kind of to like get a click off the dip buys. So around March, April, June, I started to dip buy. And that is when I got over PDT in June. So for those first 6 months of my trading career, I didn't really know a lot. It was definitely like I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I am going to say that my emotional support from my parents was one of the biggest things that kind of helped me. Like the people you surround yourself with that just bring you back up, because I thought I could make it. I in the beginning, I'm not very patient either. I just expected things right away. So I had just people behind me that kept telling me, it's okay. This is something new. You're not supposed to get it right away. And I was super discouraged because I saw a lot of people that were just getting up, making 500, 1,000, 2,000. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why don't I see that too? I have been getting up super early to start studying. I go to bed 10 after watching videos, watching the whole market. This was when I was trading full time and actually interested in it. So I was like, how can they see it? And I can't, what am I doing wrong? So it was discouraging. And then I started to find the groove and find the pattern that I actually liked, which was the panic dip buys. And then after that, I took 1,000 trades after that to get to my first 100,000. So it was just $100 1,000 times. And that was enough for me
Profit
to find
or trade?
Profit.
Okay.
To get to 100,000, I took 1,000 trades. It took me 1,000 trades to get to 100,000. So it was just little $100 gains.
Okay.
Over and over and over. Then after that, I took enough trades, because 1,000 is a lot, to get to know myself, get to know my personality, what I liked, what worked for me. That was enough. 1,000 trades was enough. Maybe it takes longer, but for me, it was 1,000 to know that the panic dip buys were working, and I kept practicing that until December, which was when I started to exponentially grow. But that was after I already knew that was my pattern. I was 100% comfortable with it. So then December, January, and February were all great because that strategy worked well. But it was not after I took all of those trades practicing and just taking little gains to grow myself to being comfortable and confident.
I see.
Hmm.
$1,100 trades
To get to
or
over
$100 profit trades.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was just very little, trying to be consistent as much as I could with little. And that was enough to find out my personality and what works for me. So yeah, and then I was able to size up because I had taken so many of them.
Wow.
And to get over not to get over PDT, for the OTC commissions, you'd given me the advice of your experience of how you used really small share size in the beginning, which is why you didn't cover the commissions, and then you upped it to about $800 to $1,000, so that way you could take the singles to cover the commissions at when you had to get out for a small percent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was taking maybe less than $300 on each trade in the beginning, so that was definitely eating up my commissions. But once I upped my trades, I knew that once I started using bigger size, then I knew that I had to take more meaningful trades. So I upped to 1,000 and I was taking more meaningful trades, and then I started to take the singles when I had it. Right when I had it, I would just cut. I don't care if it goes higher. I don't care whatever it is. I'm just gonna take it and then move on to my next single, because I knew that I didn't have the knowledge then to judge if it was gonna go up more or just trickle off.
What was your like rough average for those singles that you were making once you sized up?
Once I sized up, it was 200 to 300 on every trade.
That's not bad.
So $200, and maybe I made 4 trades, and then I lost twice. So that gave me like maybe 500 average daily, which was what started continuously just adding up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there was so much opportunity then. I want it back. Hopefully these stimulus checks to bring it back.
I know. I'm so ready. Like, let's see that big wave come in.
That's gonna be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But,
All right. Well, just so everybody does know, there's probably about 12 minutes left. So I'm not
yeah,
sure.
any last questions? Comments?
What's
Advice
everyone
for
working on?
traders.
What's
Oh, sorry.
everyone working on, or what are some significant goals you guys have set for yourselves for the next 5 months?
Well, I guess I can go first.
Oh,
So my biggest thing still, even with sizing up, I'm still trying to not be early when with the panic dip buys when they do present the pretty perfect panic. I still get caught in the fake outs, and so I cut quickly. Some of it's been for a profit, but right now it's still just the commissions that are getting me. And finding my personality, like, do I want to anticipate the breakout? Do I want to buy on the dip? Do I want to buy the breakout? And just figuring out that risk to reward and my personality with those. My goal for like the next 6 months and stuff is try and not get caught in so many fake outs. I guess that's everyone's goal probably for that, but just finally being able to cover the commissions, because without those commissions, I'd be profitable. With the commissions, overall, my account's down $1,200. So just refining that process.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's more consistency. I found the pattern I like, which is anticipating breakouts in the afternoon. So I've been trying to focus more on those and stay away from the options. And just kind of really find my niche there and master that. That's what my goal is for the next 5 months for sure.
I think for me, definitely, like I had said earlier, same thing as Liberty. Like I'm definitely kind of reeling back away from the option trades for a bit. Gonna save those for very particulars. But I really want to kind of zone back into the OTC land and just be able to figure out exactly, like I obviously, like I like the panic dip buys in the first green days. There's a couple others that I want to play with a little bit more. The red to greens. Yeah, I've tried that a little bit, but not been entirely successful. So I guess I'm just trying to refeel everything out. Like I've played with so much now that I really want to be able to zone in on what's gonna make it happen for the next 5 to 6 months.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, for me, it's being able to adapt to the market because I haven't traded very many or different states of the market. So being able to adapt and not get caught in something ugly. So being careful, using less size when I have to, and protect the gains because I know February was crazy for a lot of traders. And there's a lot of people that made money, but I also want to be one of the ones that keeps it. So being able to adapt and take the opportunity when it's there, obviously, but knowing that sometimes it's just some months are just not the same as the others.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You want to be one of the ones that keeps it.
Yeah.
I
That
think
would be cool.
I think that's important.
Stay
I
a
think for me,
millionaire.
I'd like to reconnect with the market. I'm trying to figure out what's a nice window of opportunity for me to get back in. I'm trying to stabilize my schedule so that I have like a set day where it's like, I don't know, trading day and just really, I mean, I haven't traded since I think it was January 9th because I've just been working and saving. So I would like to in the next, before summer, get back in and start trading again and hopefully be able to continue to be profitable. I don't know, this is awesome. This group is awesome because I feel like this is one of the ways I'm reconnecting back into the process and I feel like I have a wind beneath my wings. So that alone is valuable to me. Just learning again and picking it up. I knew nothing about the markets, before I started, but I'm super excited to get back into it in the next couple months.
That's awesome. I think those are great goals. Kira?
I think for me, it's adapting to market changes. Like Mariana said, like I am a fairly new full-time trader now that I'm doing it, like at my own computer. So I felt like really discouraged the past couple of weeks. Like my account has dropped, a lot. So now I need to learn to be okay with like taking smaller singles, going back down to only taking small positions with like 2,000 instead of like sizing up because I thought I was ready at one point and it kind of just like slapped me back down. And, I've got an average that I feel like I want to make in a day to make it like justifiable that if I can make this amount, a small amount, then, it'd be comparable to like the life I'm living if I had like a corporate job. So, again, if it's not working, just like cut the loss like immediately before it just gets so out of hand and like spirals down like it did today.
Love it.
Yeah.
Not
Those are
like
great goals.
get overly emotional because it's not worth it. Nothing is worth you burning your brain cells over. Just cut it and re-enter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, cool. We'll have to do this again and see how everyone's managed their goals in the future. We've reached them.
So if you guys are all good with it, like I had put out there when I was kind of putting this together, I'm willing to kind of set these up, you know, a couple times a month. I can just reach out to everybody and see what everybody's got going, and we can figure out a day that works and just kind of go forward from there. I don't think that, you know, it's going to be ideal to just set a specific day or a specific date. I think it's just wisest to reach out to everybody and see what everybody's got going on and just make it happen as we can. So,
Cool. Definitely.
cool.
Sounds good.
And thank you for organizing.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
It was great.
This was really good.
Yeah, good.
Very organized.
I'm glad.
Thank you all for being
I
here.
appreciate
It's so nice to meet you all.
You
Yeah,
as
nice to meet you
well.
too.
Nice meeting you
Yeah.
guys too. All right, and then I'll figure out how to save this to my computer. And like I said, I have slow internet always. So give me like 24 hours for it to upload or longer.
Take your time.
Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, it's been good seeing everybody.
You guys as well.
All
I
right.
can't
Till
wait to
next
hear you
time.
guys
Have a good night.
next time.